All right, everybody, what is up? We are back this week with another tournament. Finally, it is 2021, so to ring in the new year, myself and Boulevard went ahead and casted the OLS, the 17th iteration that is. Whew, man, and it's just getting bigger and bigger every single time. Tons of awesome competitors in the tournament. As usual, in regular Boulevard SJW fashion, Jesus, can't even say my own name. First round was all botched because people don't start on time and all that stuff. So we're going to jump right into round two. And we are actually going to have the Swiss rounds on the channel. As always, you'll be able to find them on my website as well. And I got a new blog on the website too. So there should be another post going up today for my second post of the year. First one went out on January 1st. So if you guys want to go ahead and check it out. First one was 10 things I learned in 1 year of content creation. And the next one is actually how to pick a game, how to pick a video game, like which one to play as a content creator. So pretty cool stuff. You guys want to check it out. But for now, we have tournament round 2 footage, Bratchedkata versus what we're going with is Y4r1t0. I think we said Yarlito for a while. I imagine like an I in there, but we've definitely cast them before as well. I think we discussed how to pronounce the name and we just completely forgot it. So if you're watching this, let us know in the comments, Yarlito. Yeah, that's what happens when you put lead speak in your name, okay? We need help. We need help. Everybody help us pronounce your names right, okay? I'm just saying. We saw a lot of Zoe Lee Sin in this tournament. Switch topics a little bit here, and I do believe we see it in this game as well. So, and Bratchedkata, obviously, you guys all know Bratchedkata, a very familiar face in the Legends of Runeterra space. So strap yourselves in. Round 2 of OLS, number 17, coming right up. Well, we are getting into game 1, so we'll see if that is the strategy that we decide to take here if we do get a go-hard matchup. But it looks like Zoe Lee Sin versus Barrier to get this one started. And I was just going to say, too, Boulevard, this Zoe Lee Sin deck, I am very excited to see this in action. We talked about this earlier. I have not seen this deck played too often, but I have heard very, very good things about it.
I've experimented with it a little bit. You know, I'm a big fan of really experimenting with that champion that isn't Lee Sin that you're putting in there. I know we saw, I believe it was Y4r1t0 play some Tarek Lee Sin in the Fearsome meta. You know, just kind of trying it out, seeing what we can fit into this Targon slot. And Zoe is a welcome addition. Of course, we've talked about the strength of this card. And honestly, I like some of the invoke cards that you can get out of it in terms of how they benefit the Lee Sin. I mean, Moonglow, you know, is obviously going to be phenomenal for Lee Sin. It's not a card that's easily popped by a lot of decks, and I mean, even just Moon Silver, there's so many different things that you can get.
Yeah, and the Eye of the Dragon, to start things off, we have a Deny and a Nopify in hand for Bratchedkata as well, so anything that comes down on side of his opponent is likely going to get dealt with. Do we trade the River Shaper for the Mountain Goat here is the question. Or we could actually save it with the Sharp Sight, but no, we're just going to take the damage to face and allow that free gem generation.
Yeah, looks like you might actually be a little behind me.
Oh, you don't have the second hand, do you?
No.
All right, hold on. Let me. You want
They're
me to
both
screen
you anyway. I don't think we'd get in there. Yeah, if we could screen share.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Make this a little easier.
All right, here we go. Oh, actually, let me do.
Our goal for the end of 2021 is that we don't have to do this awkward behind the scenes stuff on camera with you guys. We'll like have, you know, production value.
Yeah, actually have a production squad. On the side note, we're hiring for the low rate of 10 cents an hour for production crew.
It's more than we make, so.
Yeah, that's exactly why it's 10 cents an hour. So you good? You can see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, awesome. So we do have Zenith Blade getting played on this Mountain Goat. And honestly, I like to Nopify. Zenith Blade on Mountain Goat, or even Eye of the Dragon for that matter, it becomes a problem. Zenith Blade on anything early on becomes a problem. The strength of that card early on in the game, I think, is very underestimated. That +2 health gets a lot of work done.
Not only that, but I think Zenith Blade is the only Nopify target. Outside of, you know, things that are coming out of the Zoe spell.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, there's any Celestial generation. There's his opponent's Nopifies.
Yeah, and then actually
Steel Tempest.
Steel Tempest.
Yeah. Which is...
But yeah, for the most part, Zenith Blade is going to be the target for your Nopifies.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So We'll see. And it's interesting, too, because we do have Zoe Lee Sin on both sides here. I wonder if Bratchedkata's Zoe Lee Sin actually got banned out. So I'm curious to see what the second deck plate is going to be here.
I would imagine it did. I can't see a world where you bring triple Ionia with triple Nopify in every deck and then ban your opponent's Go Hard.
Yeah. Oh, no. I agree 100%. In the meantime, though, River Shaper looking to generate a free spell here, which is going to be nice for Bratchedkata. Going to put him up a little bit in advantage over Yarlito here. Going to push through 3 damage as well with the Greenglade Caretaker. And I don't know if Yarlito actually can play anything here. Yeah, we're just going to actually trade the Goat with the Shen, which is nice. I mean, it feels pretty good to get rid of a Shen. Shen is a hugely strong card in this barrier deck for Bratchedkata. So being able to get rid of that early, I think, is a really big advantage for Yarlito.
And I don't even think it's necessary. I mean, obviously the barriers coming down onto your units are pretty good, especially if Yarlito is going to be able to maintain this Eye of the Dragon and get out, these little Dragonling blockers every single turn. But just being able to level the Shen and then having your riposte represent 6 damage swings, that's something that's really hard for Yarlito to deal with. And it looks like we are actually going to sneak a Zenith Blade through the cracks, but that means we are down to just 1 remaining Zenith Blade, and Kata does have the deny for it, so it could be a little difficult for Yarlito to actually get the Overwhelm onto his Lee Sin this game.
Yeah, that's the second of the 3, right? So
yeah,
we're going to need to get this Lee Sin early. It's still not leveled up. We're going to have the attack token going into turn 7. It would be awesome if we could get down something like Lee Sin this turn and then go into next turn with that Zenith Blade. But I don't know. Bratchedkata putting a lot of pressure on here. We could go ahead, summon this Greenglade Caretaker as well, just to kind of pass priority over. We'll see if Bratchedkata decides to go that route. Or we could also just open attack, which doesn't feel that bad either. That Dragonling, though, could trade with this River Shaper and the Caretaker if Yarlito wants to. So yeah, we are going to go ahead and pass priority back over.
Yeah, and it's I'm trying to figure out what Kata's attacks are actually going to look like, because it's very possible that he just doesn't attack this turn and actually just passes it back over, because you challenge the Eye of the Dragon and then all of a sudden that Dragonling is looking like a problem for any of your other units. It might be more worthwhile to just prevent your opponent from developing a board this turn and taking the pass.
Yeah, it looks like we're actually going to get a burst pass out of Yarlito, so I like it. I think it's pretty smart. What we do have on the side of Bratchedkata is this Sharp Sight. We even have Riposte Mana open available if we actually want to go that route as well. So anything that this Dragonling does block, depending on what it blocks, is probably going to depend on whether or not Bratchedkata actually decides to save it. So like if it blocks something like this River Shaper, I imagine Bratchedkata will opt to save it. And wow, actually going to pull the Dragonling here. This screams Riposte if that's the case.
Yeah, probably riposte onto whatever actually ends up getting blocked by the Eye of the Dragon, just because it is currently out of the range of the Screeching Dragon. There's still a lot of mana on the side of Yarlito, though, and could even just go for no blocks, take a little bit of damage, develop the Lee Sin, but, I mean, Kata has that copy of Concerted Strike, sort of one of the best Lee Sin answers that Demacia has available.
Yeah. Best Lee Sin answer is more like best answer to most cards in the game answer. Like it's that card is a 5-mana Vengeance Boulevard. We've gone over this.
I do love me some Concerted Strike.
It's such a good card. It's one of the reasons why Demacia is as strong, or even in a position that it's in. Oh, actually, by the way, one thing I wanted to mention earlier too. Can we just take a moment of silence for Lux? Can we just get a good Lux deck at some point, please? I just want Lux to be good.
There was a little bit of Targon Plaza Lux running around at the start of the format. I would imagine it'll make a comeback a little bit later on if, Lux sticks around, or Plaza sticks around rather, but no, it's actually back to the game. The Steel Tempest onto the River Shaper, so not a wasted riposte though. It did still push 6 damage through, just onto the other Greenglade duos. Or Greenglade Caretakers.
Okay, Zoe could be pretty impactful though. I mean, we're in a position. Oh, actually, Sharp Sight.
Sharp Sight, yeah.
Zoe.
Sharp Sight.
I'm much more cognizant of the fact that Sharp Sight actually blocks elusives now. And see, Riot knew something we didn't. Remember when that card first came out? We're like, why does this card do this? Why does this allow you to block elusives? Because they knew Zoe was coming. They knew Zoe was coming. They're like, you know what? Demacia needs an answer to Zoe, and that's the answer. Sharp Sight completely wrecks all these elusive Zoes running around.
Yeah, now it's just a matter of Kata what do you want to block it with? I would imagine it's going to be the River Shaper, but I could see an argument for a Screeching Dragon. I'm not sure I'd agree with that no matter how much you argue it, but we do end up going for the River Shaper, going to try and get that free draw, and shouldn't be anything Yurito can actually do to stop that shy of a Concussive Palm. Even if you buff the Zoe up to survive, we're still going to get the spell draw, and I'm sure that whatever we get is going to be more impactful than the Sharp Sight was. All we really need to do is fight over that Zenith Blade and build up resources towards fighting over that Zenith Blade and making sure that this Lee Sin can't get the overwhelm and doesn't represent a short-term win condition.
Yeah, I mean, those two guiding touches kind of show me anyways that Yarlito's trying to dig for something to save that Zoe there, possibly. There is even one Sunblessed Vigor in the deck. That wouldn't have saved Zoe there, but it's just interesting to me that we are seeing that one. There's a one of Sunblessed Vigor and a one of Steel Tempest and a one of Spell Thief. Just kind of interesting choices, I think, as far as the deck building is concerned.
Spell Thief is still a card that I'm still kind of feeling it out, trying to figure out how I feel about it. On paper, I don't love it, but the more I see it, the more I'm kind of coming around to it.
Yeah, the more I play against it, I was actually going to ask you about this card earlier too. I actually really like it. It has a lot of counterplay ability, right? Like if your opponent, as an example, if your opponent denies something that you played, you can Spell Thief the deny right back in the middle of that chain and go ahead and deny the deny. Like it's pretty crazy some of the things that Spell Thief has the capability of doing. The problem is later on in the game, it becomes just a big RNG thing, right? And it's a little bit harder to play with.
All right, this Cytherea is about to do a lot of work though and earn her keep, taking these Dragonlings off the table. I was a little, concerned for Kata, because these Dragonlings are consistently coming out in such great force. Mm-hmm. Instead, we are going to get one block onto the Cytherea. Not quite representing lethal here. And no sort of tricky barrier play to boost up all of these Greenglade caretakers as well. So it looks like Yurito will survive the turn, but definitely not out of the woods yet. And it's looking like a one-shot is just going to be totally off the table for Yurito. I don't think we're going to have the capabilities to have that happen.
And yeah, this is going to push through. What is that? That's going to be another 11 damage here. If anything is played from Yurito, we're looking at a deny most likely. Possibly even a single combat in response, depending on what spell actually comes out from Yurito. So this is going to be a pretty big turning point, I think, in the game. Yurito has a lot of mana left over, though, and Bratchedkata doesn't really have anything past this turn to really continue to put on aggression if Yurito deals with something like the Cytherea on the board.
Yeah, I don't know if Yurito can do that, though. It would cost multiple Pale Cascades is really the only thing I can think of, and you can see with the eye hover that a vast majority of Yurito's, or Bratchedkata's board, rather, is going to survive this, and we actually got to clear out the buffed-up Eye of the Dragon, so that's even less, sort of lifesteal coming back out of Yurito. Has found the Lee Sin, though, and now it comes down to, do you have enough denies, and they have to be denies because you can't notify a deny, on backup to push through the Zenith Blade? Because I don't think we're getting this Lee Sin up to 13 attack for a one-shot, and I don't think we have enough time to kick a couple of units.
So we do have the mana to play Zenith Blade and have two denies open. So I guess we'll see if the deny war pans out for Yurito here. It's either going to go in the favor of Yurito or go in the favor of Bratchedkata.
Kata is 1 mana shy of deny concerted strike. So is actually going to start off with a single combat, because the way that Lee Sin works, this Zenith Blade isn't going to have any opportunity to get barrier after it resolves, so does still have to put 2 spells on the stack before this Lee Sin gets the barrier. And continuing to just go for the Lee Sin kill.
Yeah. This is smart, because you're basically denying everything that's happening on top of killing the Lee Sin. And now you put Yurito in a spot where we only have 7 mana, so we need 2 denies, because we know Bratchedkata has another deny in hand, but we don't have the mana on the side of Yurito to deal with that. So even if there's another deny that comes out here, Bratchedkata is going to win this war and probably going to win this game.
Okay, so the Bastion is going to take care of this, though. So we do need to still throw out a deny onto the Zenith Blade.
Mm-hmm. Which is going to be an issue still, though, for Yurito, right? Because now, like you mentioned, I don't think we're going to be getting this Lee Sin up to 13. It is leveled, and it is pretty strong. It will be able to deal with one of the units on the board here, likely the Cytherea. So we're in a spot where Yurito might be able to continue to survive for a couple of turns, because we see that Bratchedkata doesn't really have a whole ton of aggression. This Screeching Dragon might come in big, though, to be able to take out this Lee Sin.
So it's no, you can't. You can't let the Zenith Blade go because Yurito has lethal with that gem in hand.
Yep. Oh, yeah, actually, that's going to be 6, 7. That's 8 attack. Yeah, well, I think he has it without the gem, right? Because the Bastion... Oh, the Bastion already had it.
Yeah.
So 6...
Ooh,
no, we need
so
the
it
gem.
looks like we're just going to go for the deny onto the kick then.
Okay. Which...
But that does still kill your Cythria.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
So I would imagine at this point then... The problem is, I could see an argument to say, you know what, I'll take all the damage that you're throwing at me this turn. I will save my denies for concussive palms to guarantee lethal next turn. Except you have to use the deny this turn. Whether you use it on the Zenith Blade or the kick, you have to use the deny this turn. And this doesn't save your Cythria.
Yeah, I 100%. If you're denying this Dragon's Rage, it feels like it's always better to have denied the Zenith Blade there, right? So really strange to me, I think, that Bratchedkata took that route. But wow, a top deck of top decks in the Brightsteel formation coming down. Is that enough to take this game here? I mean, we don't quite have enough for the formation and the protector because that's 11 unit mana. Oh man, the problem is we play Brightsteel formation, we tap out. We have 2 mana left. The most you can represent is like a Nopify, and Yurito has all the mana in the world available to him and likely going to be able to save the Lee Sin because of that.
Yeah, I think the problem that Kat is struggling over right now is that the River Shaper is never going to represent lethal. So if you play, say, the Brightsteel Protector and hold open Riposte to push through a lethal attacker, all Yurito has to do is play one more unit, and all of a sudden you don't have lethal. Now, Kata should survive the next turn, in theory. I mean, we do have the deny for the kick. There is still the chance that Yurito actually gets this Lee Sin big enough to push through the last bit of damage. It is at 7 attack. It's not an unreasonable sort of thing to do. But we are going to go for the formation and just go for the lethal right here, right now. Say, you know what? You have to play 2 spells to protect this Lee Sin this turn. Guiding Touch is a great first one. Wow. Do you have another one to give it barrier? I would imagine that you do. Or at the very worst, you can play anything in combat like a Concussive Palm. That'll still do the trick, give the Lee Sin barrier. And it looks like Yurito, he's not guaranteed just yet. Actually just going to surrender, doesn't have it.
Wow. That's insane. I was not expecting Yurito to just surrender there. I honestly figured Yurito probably had some sort of way of taking that game, or at least stabilizing that one turn, because all he had to do was live that one turn. And he probably had that game. And wow, that's very surprising win from Bratchedkata there. Not surprised that Bratchedkata won, because, of course, Bratchedkata, an absolutely amazing player. But just surprised that the game turned out like that. And here we go, Boulevard. It has come upon us. We have the Go Hard deck. We're getting the Go Hard game. Let's see how Bratchedkata decides to play this deck.
So for what it's worth, this is the game that Yurito was looking for. Running a triple Ionia lineup, triple Nopify in every deck, you are looking to 2-0 that Go Hard. So even losing game number 1, Yurito still feels like they're in the same spot that they were, because you are always looking to 2-0 this Go Hard deck.
Yeah, and we already have a Go Hard in hand early here. We even have the early Elise. This seems like a halfway decent pickup here for these first 4 cards for Bratchedkata. Maybe we, put back the Glimpse Beyond. Twisted Fate, you could argue possibly tossing that back, but I don't think it's ever bad to have TF on turn 4. So we'll see how that pans out here early for Bratchedkata. But gotta love this immediate Go Hard and Elise turns 1 and 2 here.
One thing to remember about the Twisted Fate in this Field of Mina matchup is that outside of Avalanche, they don't really have a great removal tool for it. This is the one time that you could actually get the Twisted Fate to level up against a Field of Rush deck, because they don't have those additional tools like Vile Feasts and Withering Wails to actually kill the TF. It's not out of the question that is something that we could go for, as long as we can bait out an Avalanche a little bit earlier on.
This is such an interesting concept to me with this TF Go Hard deck. We see a Go Hard played there on an Avarosian Sentry. That is just straight up a loss of card advantage. Just straight up. But almost most TF Go Hard players that I've seen will take that trade because they just want to get the Go Hard engine going with getting them shuffled into the deck. But it's just crazy. It blows my mind that people are just so okay with taking a negative trade like that with this deck.
And it makes a lot of sense when you look at the deck list. We talk about Yurito on this triple Nopify plan. That was sort of the one time that you just get to get it down. And Yurito actually not going for any life loss onto his Wording Stone, just taking all the Spiderlings, all of that says I'm not worried about it, and that really telegraphs an Avalanche
Well, I also think that Yurito doesn't want to lose it to something like a TF, because the TF gold card would have killed it straight up there too. And I don't think that Yurito wants to lose that Wording Stones period. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Avalanche is likely coming up pretty soon. I imagine we'll see it on the next turn here as the attack token does go back over to Yurito. And I mean, things are looking pretty okay for both players. It's really going to come down to, on the side of Yurito, are we able to ramp into what we want with Field of Rush as quickly as possible on something like turn 9. And right now we're only 2 turns away from that, unless we get possibly even more ramp this turn. If we play Avalanche, we can't play Catalyst this turn. So, all right, there's the Catalyst. So actually no Avalanche gonna be played this turn, which means Bratchedkata does have kind of a window to swing in next turn, but could also be walking straight into... I almost wanted to say Ruination, but this is Field of Mino, not typical Field of Rush. So
yeah, and maybe Yurito is just going to get down that Field of Rush, and Kata doesn't have an answer for that just yet. We are still only on the second go hard. We don't really have enough of a board to rush our opponent down and contest that Field of Rush. So maybe that's all that Yurito needs to get through, is that one turn. It's going to be on an off turn, which almost feels like it plays out better for him, just because you are going to be able to, get down those protection spells on your attacks, those denies, those nopifies. But Kata, sees the writing on the wall, says, if you're going to Field of Rush, I'm going to level Twisted Fate.
Yeah, and it's very typical to see trades like that, right? Your opponent's going for something. You know that they don't want to expend a certain amount of mana to do what they want to do. In this case, play Field of Rush. We need to bank 3 spell mana. So, yeah, Bratchedkata sees that, knows he's good to go ahead and do something like level this TF, and going to feel pretty good. And, yeah, I like this too. We're going to go ahead and get these go-hards shuffled in, which means that when we do start to draw these cards from Pick a Card, it's a much higher chance of drawing go-hard, possibly even enough to go ahead and get Pack Your Bags online pretty early in this game. Can I just say, too, when TF first came out, I feel like there's so many times where me and you would cast and we're like, man, TF, it's so hard to level TF. Like when he first came out. Now I can't even count on one hand the amount of times he's leveled by like turn 5 or 6.
Yeah, when Targon came out, it really opened up a space in the meta and just an entire region as a whole that does not handle Twisted Fates particularly well. And then once Ionia started to come back, we've got another region that just doesn't have removal, doesn't handle Twisted Fate very well. Twisted Fate came out in a very aggressive meta. Yeah. There was a lot of Misfortune and Scouts and things like that being played. It was nearly impossible to actually get down this unit and have it get its value. Even in the Twisted Fate Swain decks, you just didn't really have the draw power surrounding him in order to get it off. And now it feels like we have more and more, not necessarily turbo Twisted Fate decks over the years. I mean, we're talking even things like Casino, where Twisted Fate just plays a much more pivotal role than the supporting role that he did in the Twisted Fate Swain. We're just seeing him level up more and more.
Yeah, and here we go. We're going to get the block. And Yurito not even able to get the Field of Rush down this turn either, having spent that mana. So I think Bratchedkata has got to feel really good about the position right now. We have additional cards that we can go ahead and play this turn. If there is something like an Avalanche, we even have technically Crawling Sensation we can get down. Actually, we're going to level this Elise anyways next turn. Especially now with Tryndamere. I mean, unless there's... Is there 2 mana? Anything that Yurito can do? I think we're getting a leveled Elise, which does not happen often.
Yeah, it's not typical, but it actually does look pretty good in a matchup like this, where you get to constantly drag these larger units to the side, sacrifice your 1/1s. Kata looks like they are going to have to sacrifice all 3 cards that were... Nope, we are going to override a Spiderling and kill another one and say, you know what, I actually just really don't care about this Elise level up. I'm sorry, SJW, your Spider Queen doesn't get to go Beast Mode today unless...
No, he's thinking. He's thinking. I don't know, man. Is that like a bait? Is that what if we're looking at what the absolute best play is here?
Objectively, yeah. I'm pretty sure you play the Fortune Croaker.
I think you do too. And I think the fact that Elise is going to level is literally a bait that's like, no, but leveling up is cool. We need to do it. Like, we need to level up Elise. But, well, no, we need to draw cards through our win conditions. So
at the same time, you have a leveled Twisted Fate on field. You are not hurting for draw power at this point.
Yeah, you get that right. And it also feels bad to toss, not actually toss, but to basically lose and obliterate cards in your hand. That, like, you have to play this turn, right?
We're getting...
Wait, what?
We're getting everything. We're still going for the Elise level up while getting down the Fortune Croaker.
I like it. He says, bait who? Not me. I'm getting both best of both worlds. Let's go.
And he set his Elise up into the Avalanche range. It looks like he has decided that Y4r1t0 actually doesn't have the card, or he's just got so many cards in hand that he's no longer worried about it.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say that too. With the field that Bratchedkata has, I think he just puts Y4r1t0 on not having Avalanche. I mean, we would have seen one by now. So I do like that play. And something to note, too, because you did mention the Elise thing, and even my brain was like, what are you talking about, Boulevard? It's going to gain 1 health when it levels up. Elise, one of the only champions that actually does not gain health when leveling it up. It gains more attack. Gains actually 2 attack when most things just get +1/+1.
And Kata, you know, generally Tryndamere is something that the go hard decks can struggle with a little bit. You know, unless they can find a Vengeance, even just getting through the 4 HP on the front side can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes. But Y4r1t0 is Ionia, not Shadow Isle, and that means that you don't have to worry about Atrocity. You actually get to be much more liberal with your life total and really feel like you're using that as a resource.
And all right, this is so I can like Bratchedkata, I think has resolved to say, okay, there's no Avalanche like you mentioned, but at the same token, you can't reasonably, objectively, like you just mentioned, continue to play an Avalanche. Like, it just feels so bad if you actually do lose to an Avalanche. So I can definitely get on the side of Bratchedkata with his sort of like taking a little bit of time to think through these plays, thinking, man, if I continue to develop, I'm just going to get blown out by some sort of removal like Avalanche or even a Mina for that matter. So we'll see what Y4r1t0 has for removal here, because right now Y4r1t0 has not had jack squat most of this game.
Oh, man. And Y4r1t0 passing on the 11 mana was really interesting to me. I thought that Kata was just going to take the pass back and go for an open attack and push through, what, 8, 9, I think 10 damage is what he was representing. Gives you an opportunity to potentially finish off your opponent with a couple of red cards over the course of the next few turns. But no, instead, yeah, Y4r1t0 just showing that his hand was pretty bricked, getting down a really weak turn, understanding why he was representing so much mana. Not really threatening anything, but didn't have any threats to call the bluff if Kata, you know, wanted to continue to develop, which he did. And I mean, there's no way there's an Avalanche in there, right?
No. That's like some 7,000 head move if he still has an Avalanche in his head. But I don't think Bratchedkata even needs to play anything right now, though, because you have these spiderlings to drag everything. The best you could do is overwrite one, like we're doing here, just to represent a little bit more damage with a Doom Beast or a Zap Spray Fin. But like, I don't really think he even needed to do that this turn. He could have just ended the round and went into the open attack. But yeah, it looks like we're going to get that opportunity anyways. Obviously, knowing Y4r1t0 doesn't have the Avalanche, and can't see why we don't do an open attack here.
Yep, and actually picking up this Chronicler is really big because all 3 Glimpse are in hand. This Zap is guaranteed to get Go Hards. And
yep.
I mean, this is one of the problems. Yeah, we see a Flash Freeze onto the Elise. Wow. That doesn't feel great. Frostbite effects in general, not feeling good against these wide decks, and it looks like he was overloaded on Frostbite effects. Could even have, you know, some denies or something that he's stuffed up on because Kata has just been playing units, hasn't really been running out spells that you can use these counter spells on.
See, my brain, that's what my brain was trying to hint at earlier with the Ruination. Like, even though there's no Ruination in Y4r1t0's deck, this is the problem that the Field of Mina version sometimes runs into, not having the Ruinations, right? If we had a Ruination, if we had more removal like the Shadow Isles build typically has, then we might not be in this situation. I mean, we might still anyways. Bratchedkata did have a pretty good first hand. But yeah, I mean, this definitely looks like Bratchedkata's game here. We get the Go Hard, we get the red card, and we're just inching our way closer to getting the bags packed of Y4r1t0.
Actually, I believe if this gets denied as well, I think we're still only at 1 out of 3 on Go Hards, and I think there's only 2 more in the deck. There might even only be 1 more in the deck at this point.
And actually, yeah, and you said there's 3 Nopify in each one. Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, I'd be surprised if this does make it through with how bad Y4r1t's hand's been. You gotta imagine there's a deny or a Nopify in there. And yeah, there's the deny. Feels bad that it's a deny and not a Nopify. But, I mean, I guess this will be it, right? I mean, I mentioned earlier, it seems like sometimes this strategy doesn't work. Just playing for that whole, I'm going to deny and Nopify every single Go Hard that you have. But maybe if Y4r1t0 can just make it here a couple more turns, just maybe we can make it. But I don't know, man. Bratchedkata's board is way too wide right now. The next attack turn is probably going to be able to finish things off, especially after playing both of these Doom Beasts.
Things looking real okay. Managing to find the Go Hard still.
Okay.
I don't think this is going to be enough. The Trundle's not leveled.
No, it's not. And again, this is one of those awkward points where, hey, it's really late game. You get a Trundle for, this Field of Rush, but it's still not leveled, and you actually can't even play the Pillar this turn because you just expended all of your mana. And, yeah, we're going to get the glimpse onto the Dreadway deckhand here, see if we can dig a little bit more. This will allow Bratchedkata to freely play these Gohards, though, right? So that strategy, again, and this is where I think my problem was with that strategy. It feels like you're severely limiting what you can do and what plays you can make, constantly needing to keep up, Nopify, deny, like always being like, no, I need to always have a way to get rid of these Gohards. And it just seems so unrealistic at times, especially when you're behind like this.
The idea for something like Field of Mina is that the Field of Rush is such a difficult card for Gohard to deal with that at that point you can let them start to slip the Gohards through. You're not really worried about leaving up counterspells at that point because you should be ending the game. But yeah, it's just a surrender out of Yurito, understanding that this is not enough to end the game, and I am definitely dead on the next turn.
All right, and there we go. Bratchedkata going to take it 2-0, off to a pretty good start. Also going to be 2-0 for the tournament, starting with 2 wins and 0 losses. So good on Bratchedkata. We'll see how far he's able to make it in the 17th iteration of the OLS here. So as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.